They fired him in front of everyone. No warning, no explanation, no dignity. Just a single sentence that shattered a quiet life. Clean out your locker and disappear, the manager sneered. The security camera caught everything. And within 72 hours, that same footage would destroy an entire corporate empire. But at the time, no one cared about the old janitor. The night shift at Crestwood Medical Plaza was always eerie. The fluorescent lights hummed like dying insects. The polished floors reflected loneliness more than light. Most offices were empty by 10 p.m. Just a soft echo of mops, distant elevators, and the hum of surveillance cameras. That's where Elias Carter worked. 62 years old, soft-spoken, black, slight limp in his right leg. Worked janitorial for 11 years. Never late, never complained, never called in sick. To most people, Elias was invisible. Until the night he wasn't. That evening, Elias was scrubbing dried coffee stains near the executive offices when a new operations manager stormed out. Gregory Whitman, 36 years old, Ivy League degree, tailored suits, always smelled like money and entitlement. He'd taken over just 2 weeks earlier, and already half the staff avoided him. Gregory stopped abruptly when he saw Elias near his office door. His eyes narrowed. "What do you think you're doing?" Gregory snapped. Elias straightened slowly. "Evening, sir. Just doing my route." Gregory folded his arms. "My office doesn't get clean at night. I don't trust it." There it was. That word. Trust. Elias hesitated. "Sir, it's on my list every night." Same list for 11 years. Gregory stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I don't care what the list says. I don't want people like you in sensitive spaces." The hallway went silent. 2 nurses stood frozen at the far end. A security guard slowed his patrol. The air grew heavy. Elias swallowed hard. "Sir, I've never—" "Save it," Gregory cut in loudly. "You people always have excuses." The security came. Elias flinched. Gregory turned sharply. "You're done here." "Fired." On the spot. Elias stood there, mop trembling in his hands. "For what?" he whispered. Gregory smirked. "For reminding me why standards exist." They escorted Elias out with his trash cart still dripping dirty water behind him. As he passed the nurses, one of them whispered, "I'm so sorry." Elias only nodded. He emptied his locker, collected a cracked photo of his late wife, a folded bus pass, a lucky coin his granddaughter gave him. Then he walked out into the cold night. Jobless, humiliated, erased. What Gregory Whitman didn't know was that Elias Carter had spent 18 years as a federal forensic accountant. A man who once exposed international money laundering networks now mopped floors because after whistleblowing on his own firm, he was blacklisted. No company wanted a man who told the truth too loudly. So he cleaned quietly instead and watched. 3 nights later, Elias returned to Crestwood, not for work, but to retrieve something he'd hidden inside the building months ago. Something he'd only kept as insurance. He waited until midnight. When the cameras cycled through maintenance blind spots, he personally memorized. Still limping, still invisible. He entered the executive floor using an old access card that somehow still worked. He moved with purpose, straight into Gregory Whitman's office, and opened a hidden vent behind the server bay. Inside sat a small black flash drive. Elias stared at it for a long moment, then pocketed it. What Elias had quietly discovered over the last year was that Crestwood Medical Plaza wasn't just a hospital. It was a laundering hub, fake medical equipment purchases, phantom supply orders, charitable donations that never reached patients. And at the center of every digital trail, Gregory Whitman's name. Wire transfers, shell companies, offshore accounts, million, funneled, cleaned, disappeared. The janitor they fired had the entire blueprint. For 2 more days, Elia said nothing. Then he walked into a public library, used an old alias, sent encrypted files to 3 journalists, then to federal investigators, then to 1 civil rights organization, and finally, to the media. The headline detonated like a bomb. Hospital executive under federal investigation for massive financial crimes. Within hours, Crestwood was shut down. FBI agents stormed in with boxes, warrants, and armored confidence. Gregory Whitman was dragged out of his glass office in wrist restraints while employees watched in stunned silence. That night, a second video surfaced online. Security footage leaked anonymously. The clip was titled, "This is Why They Fired Him." It showed Gregory Whitman confronting Elias, saying the words, "I don't trust people like you. You people always have excuses for reminding me why standards exist." The internet erupted. Gregory was no longer just a criminal. He was a racist criminal. Braun severed ties overnight. His college revoked donations. His fiancée deleted every photo of them. His own law firm dropped him before the handcuffs cooled. But still, that wasn't the ending. 3 weeks later, during a federal audit, authorities traced one last shell account. It led to a surprising name, Elias Carter. At first, they assumed he was involved, until investigators realized the account didn't contain stolen money. It contained recovered money, over $4.7 million. Every dollar carefully tagged, proof of the laundering scheme, proof Gregory had planted assets under Elias's identity to frame him if the operation ever collapsed. For years, Elias had been sitting inside a crime scene, knowing that one wrong step would land him in prison for fraud he never committed. So he waited and waited until he was fired. When reporters finally tracked Elias down, he stood on the steps of a small apartment complex holding his granddaughter's hand. They asked him why he never told anyone earlier. Elias replied quietly, "Because when you're invisible, the truth survives longer." Gregory Whitman was sentenced to 29 years in federal prison. Hate crime enhancements were added. Financial crimes stacked. Lives destroyed by his own hands. Crestwood paid out millions in restitution. Families got compensation. Patients finally received the aid meant for them. But the final revelation, the part no one expected, happened 6 months later. Federal records revealed that Gregory never discovered the fraud. He inherited it from his father, from the same firm that once fired Elias after he exposed corruption years ago. The cycle didn't begin with Gregory. He simply perfected it. And Elias? He had been chasing the same ghost for 2 decades and finally caught it. Today, Elias teaches financial ethics at a community college. He still walks with a limp, still speaks softly, still keeps his head down. But when students ask why he teaches so passionately, he says, because silence is the most expensive currency in the world. The man they humiliated, the man they erased, the man they trusted least, was the only one protecting the truth the entire time. And the system that discarded him protected the criminal instead. Because in injustice, the cover-up always wears a suit, and the truth usually carries a mob.